Good day everyone and welcome to episode 8 of Thesna Talks. Today I wanted to talk about white privilege. But let me read something off to you quickly. In his 1935 Black Reconstruction in America, W.E.B. Du Bois introduced the concept of a psychological wage for white laborers. This special status, he wrote, divided the labor movement by leading low-wage white workers to feel superior to low-wage black workers. Du Bois identified white supremacy as a global phenomenon affecting the social conditions across the world by means of colonialism. For instance, Du Bois wrote, "It must be remembered that the white group of laborers, while they received a low wage, were compensated in part by a sort of public and psychological wage. They were given public deference and titles of courtesy because they were white. They were admitted freely with all classes of white people to public functions, public parks, and the best schools. The police were drawn from their ranks, and the courts, dependent on their votes, treated them with such leniency as to encourage lawlessness. Their vote selected public officials, and while this had small effect upon the economic situation, it had great effect upon their personal treatment and the deference shown them. White schoolhouses were the best in the community and conspicuously placed, and they cost anywhere from twice to 10 times as much per capita as the colored schools, in inverted commas. The newspapers specialized on news that flattered the poor whites and almost utterly ignored the Negro, except in crime and ridicule." So while this may sound complicated, let me explain to you that white privilege is not wealth privilege. I'll say it again. White privilege is not wealth privilege. It's simply unearned invisible benefits bestowed upon you based purely on the color of your skin. It's basically always being given the benefit of the doubt. That's what happens when you have white privilege. Let me give you a few examples. Do you recall the times you went into the store and security followed you around? No? Well, it's the norm for black and brown people to be viewed with suspicion because black and brown people are viewed as violent, as dishonest. They're viewed as less than. Let me ask you, how many black and brown people are able to exercise, in the States specifically, are able to exercise their Second Amendment right to bear arms and not get killed or arrested in the process? If the current situation in the States sees black and brown people killed for merely going into their houses, how much worse would it be if they had a weapon? Because the system of racism teaches you that black people are violent, is it any wonder that they are killed for merely taking out a phone from their pockets? I want to give you another personal example. A few years ago, my husband and I went to the bank. We both had to draw the same amount of money from the same personal accounts we had. He was ahead of me in the queue because I had something else to do. He's white, just by the way. He goes to the bank teller, hands over his withdrawal slip, and gets his money. I go to the same teller, hand over my withdrawal slip. She asks for identification. Proceeds to look at my identification and look at me. This happens about 5 times until I ask what the holdup is. Without blinking, she says that she needs to ask me some security questions. She asks me the 3 questions, and by this time I'm agitated because my husband's waiting outside the bank, not sure what the holdup is. Then again, without blinking, she says that she needs authorization for that amount and calls her supervisor. By this time, I've demanded to see the bank manager because I realized that I was treated differently. The bank manager, of course, vehemently denied that I was treated differently to a white person. So though the bank manager apologized and said it's policy to double and triple check everything, And further, she compounds the lie by saying it's not a race thing. And everyone without fail is treated the same. At that moment, I called my husband. And he confirmed that he didn't even show his ID, that it was waved away by the teller. See, the point is they never knew we were together. I might smile about it now, but I can still see the bank manager's red face and the subsequent apologies that followed once they were caught out in their lie. White people are always given the benefit of the doubt. White people are seen as inherently honest. Black and brown people aren't. It's that simple. It's your privilege to never be told members only at the door of an establishment. It's your privilege to never be followed around by security. It's your privilege, based on the color of your skin, to be treated as if you're always truthful. Now let's not go scratching around for that one time you were treated differently or followed around by security. I'm talking the norm rather than the exception. Years ago, I had to get a white friend sign my lease for a flat I wanted in the suburbs. She had to vouch for me. She had to vouch that I was honest, I paid my rent on time, didn't party until all hours of the morning, and so forth. The irony was that the person who vouched for me, this friend of mine, was given notice for failure to pay her rent. So you may want to know what you can do, because white privilege is not something you can discard. Well, there's two things you can do. Educate yourself on white privilege. You can Google Peggy McIntosh and read Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack, where she gives brilliant examples of white privilege. And two, you can use your white privilege for good. You can open conversations with other white people who may be unaware of this and teach about it. You can become more vocal, especially in light of the police brutality often experienced by black and brown people. In other words, you can use your privilege to open doors that may be closed to black and brown people. Finally, when you hear someone talk about white privilege, don't get defensive. Rather ask them to explain. They're not saying that you're not a good person or that you grew up wealthy. It does not help when you close yourself off to conversations that must be had. And yes, you may have grown up poor, but you did not grow up poor because of the color of your skin. Or you could simply opt out of these conversations, because opting out of difficult conversations is one of the privileges you have. It's your choice. Thank you for joining me this week. Next week, I'll be talking about microaggressions. So please join me and feel free to ask whatever questions or comments down below. Have a good day. Thank you. Everyone, please like this video, share this video with your family and friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, for our Actuality magazine, please go to www.thefairdigest.com. There's loads of interesting articles to read. Thank you.